Welcome, Ellie, for the second time. Welcome back to the Mother Tongue podcast. I am so excited to talk to you today on the other side of your birth because you ended up going into labor just a few hours after our first episode. So I'm really excited to dive in. And I just wanted to ask you first if you want to just give a kind of a synopsis of your birth and what happened that day.
Sure. So I did share quite a bit in the first podcast recording. And I did end up going to labor. I was kind of, I think, already starting to go into labor as we were recording that. And then, yeah, by the end of the night, I had my fourth child. And it was, I think it was an incredible kind of place to start labor because it was like a cathartic, emotional kind of dump. It was like I had
Right.
all of this, not anxiety, but like maybe acute anxiety. I had all these nerves, all this energy, and expectancy, I think. And I really wanted to be on the other side. I really wanted to meet my daughter, and I really wanted to get past the pain, get through that. And so kind of unloading all the feelings and then being able to tie them into my past birth experiences and like transition into motherhood and all of that was really, I think, a powerful jump off to help me prepare for what was physically happening and about to happen. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like a review of everything up until that moment.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy thing to review like in the very day that you're going to have a baby. But for me, that was perfect. I think it was like a beautiful, almost like turning of the corner, because obviously, like I was at the farm and had come up like 8, 9 days beforehand, and then we ended up staying about 8 or 9 days after. So it was this kind of like beautiful, um, I guess, crest, like of emotion and then physical, and then yeah, it was a really nice kind of center point for me.
Yeah. So I feel like every birth we discover something about ourselves. And I'm curious what you know about yourself that you didn't know before this birth of your fourth baby.
I think I'm going to do a lot of flattering you, and you have to prepare yourself. Um, this is really just an advertisement.
This wasn't pre-planned.
This is all out of the abundance of my heart. Um, I did not, I did not understand my capacity to support myself. I feel like I learned so much about how I can listen to myself. I
Mm.
felt um, so empowered. I'm gonna cry in the first question. Yeah, the experience of having you and the team of women that assisted me, basically, like you and your assistants, and um, being on the farm, giving space for that birth and that transition from pregnancy to new motherhood, and for families to kind of swell, like that was hands down the most supportive experience I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
So it absolutely changed, I think, not just understanding um, what external things I need to put into place, but understanding that I met my own needs.
Mhm.
Like, I really want to cry. That was huge. Like, I can't overstate that. I don't think I had been, like, throughout that pregnancy, going to therapy and dealing with issues of kind of how my needs were not met, childhood, and kind of what my experience has been in my life. And so that stuff was all very top of mind and very a focal point. And, the care I received and the support I received from you all, like, felt like such a beautiful companion to that work. But I had my eyes opened to the fact that I did not know how to support my own needs throughout that pregnancy. And I was learning more and more. Even in my fourth pregnancy, I was still learning about how do I support my nutritional health? Like, how do I support myself in terms of getting enough sleep and doing stuff? I think I had really disbanded with the idea that I needed to be like tough and handle things and, you know, harden to get through the world and get through hard situations. And so I think there was like a huge learning experience for me of like becoming softer and becoming more in tune with myself.
Yeah.
And so I think the hugest part of that experience of what I'll call like the farm birth and, you know, your care and like the road trip that we had to take to get there, like all of these things kind of in addition to the actual physical and like metaphysical, I don't know, experience of giving birth, all of that contributed to me attuning myself to my own body and my own mental and emotional needs in a way that I have never, like I was more heightened, more aware, more sensitive to those things than I've ever been. And I think I've described it to my husband kind of like as like getting the nerve endings back in my fingers. And maybe really for me for the first time. So I feel like there's things that I'm sensitive to now that I was not sensitive to obviously at the other births, but really even up until that birth transition and that birthing experience, that I feel like I'm so much more aware of myself and my like experience and how I want to live going forward.
Yeah.
So
that's so powerful.
So pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty big shift. Yeah.
And to me, it sounds like, I mean, maybe it felt like you didn't know how to support yourself, but you really did the work during pregnancy. And you,
yeah,
like I hear in what you shared, I hear so much intuition and knowing about how to seek the resources to be able to support yourself. And I think some of that is just learning how to ask for the support that we need.
Right. And that for me, that is huge. I have a lot of like painful memories of asking for support and feeling shamed for needing help, asking for kind of like daily emotional support and feeling like that was just not available to me. So a lot of kind of feelings of neglect. And I didn't realize until, like I said, maybe even this birth experience, how much I, on a daily basis, don't express or communicate my needs or, you know, share certain parts of me. Like there's parts that I'm not vulnerable about. Anger, sadness, you know, just the fringes of emotion, I would say, which are, I realize now are like the main paint colors. Like this is not like some crazy thing off my god. For me, those were not welcome feelings, I think, growing up. And so understanding now how much that's just like kind of a core part of being human and being seen and being known and being supported, being loved. Those things I think helped me, like trying to attune to those things, trying to feel my feelings when I felt them, like all of that helped me to see, oh, I absolutely need a team of women. Basically, I need you know, we spoke about it during my prenatal care. It was like I am lacking in emotional support from women. Like I am in intimate, you know, kind of maternal support. And it's so comforting. It was so comforting throughout my prenatal care to feel like you were there, and Serena, you know, who you worked with, like were there to hear my questions, to just kind of hold space for me. And then obviously share your wisdom. So I think like all of that, as much as it may, I'm on the other side of having processed this stuff. So I'm like saying it like, oh no, we have feelings. And you know, it's like, it was a lot of stuff was hitting me as I was going through my pregnancy. And there was a wall of grief between, oh, I didn't get this and I need to prioritize that. Oh, I didn't get this, I need to prioritize that. I'm not meeting my own needs. I'm not mothering myself. And that has been a journey for me for a long time. But of course, going through, that's why we're doing this. I love the Matrescence. I love the change. I love the physically, for me, I don't know, it's hormonal or something, but it's this energy that's not necessarily tied to waking hours kind of energy, but there is, I feel a momentum and an energy when I'm pregnant to catalyze on change. Like I feel that so intrinsically. And so I think, you know, it was so helpful to have not just like physical checkup, like, oh yeah, you're growing this much and don't eat egg whites, whatever the thing is, it's like, um, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. I think I felt emotionally held. I felt encouraged in my growth in a way that I'd never felt. So, so that was all like very much in line with what I was already dealing with, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what you're speaking to is so inherent in pregnancy and birth. There's this opportunity to grow ourselves and to expand ourselves beyond who we've known ourselves to be. And so I really
Right.
believe that motherhood is an enrichment program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's costly, but it's valuable. Yeah, it's great.
So going back to your fourth birth,
Yeah.
can you share where you were strong and where you were courageous within that?
Um, yeah, I will say, so having gone through kind of like, because we recorded that podcast, like really first thing in the morning, and then I started to have some contractions, which obviously progressed. So, but in the beginning, it felt like a familiar pain and rolling and slower. I was able to go home or back to where we were staying, and I think I feel like because I had processed the impending like tsunami of pain
Yeah.
in a way that was different than the other births, I experienced the physical pain as less emotionally taxing. And that was an entirely new, I would say, a new experience. Um, and so I think, honestly, I was really proud of not just like bearing the physical pain in the way that I did, which I feel like was, I mean, I'm super proud of myself. It was a different, I wasn't being chased down.
Yeah.
I was meeting the pain. And I was, I mean, practically physically, I was like breathing into the contractions and like visualizing, like as they were coming, I was taking a huge breath and like pushing down and like visualizing, like pushing that my uterus was doing what it's supposed to do and, was moving her down. And I was present in that in a way that I really wasn't in the other births. I was obviously, I had a home birth with my 10-pound son last time. So there was some, obviously this is a proven pelvis, so maybe it's different, but I felt like, especially with my daughters who were my first and second birth, it really does sound like a lot when you start to kind of count them out like this. Like,
Yeah.
whoa. But I was really, I mean, my first pregnancy, and I've shared about this before, my first delivery, I was really shocked by the severity of the pain and the type of pain and the what felt like trauma, like of the pain.
Yeah.
And even with my second, although that was a shorter labor and delivery, thank God. And so with my son at home, I wouldn't say necessarily that it was like more fear-based, but there was more, I felt more like vigilance of like, we have to get this out. We have to get this child out. Like, and I at the time didn't know he was a son, and I didn't know he was 10 pounds either. So
Thankfully.
I think that my body was communicating to me like, this is not a stable condition you need to birth, but anytime I'd had even a small measure of support or great support with the previous midwife, like she was incredible, but I was still looking to the other person as if they were an authority in my birth.
Yeah.
So like all the laboring I did at home with both of my daughters, as soon as I got to the hospital, even though I was birthing with midwives, I was still looking to someone else to take the pain away. I was still imagining that they could help me in some way out of it, as opposed to through it. And that's like the greatest difference, was that in this birth, I wasn't for a second thinking that I was going to get out of it. So I had no illusions. And so I think, there's this thought of like, sometimes things are worse because you're suffering twice. You're suffering because, there's the physical element, or there's your belief about something, but then there's like that your belief is wrong, and so you're kind of like adding suffering. I think like the shock and the surprise was added suffering to my first birth with my daughter.
Yeah.
Because I was going, am I doing this wrong?
Right.
Like, is it supposed to feel like this? Like, did no one tell me? Like, what is, there was this disbelief. And then I think my instinct in that sense was to try to flee, was to try to get out of the pain. And that wasn't possible. So it was a torment in addition to like a physical pain.
Right.
I think with this one, I felt like I was determined to see it through, and felt like I was participant in how fast it could go, in a sense.
Yeah.
I felt like I was going to use every breath, every contraction. I was going to use it to move through. Yeah. And I was looking at it in a way that I'd never, which is that I felt like at the end of the day, there's going to be a finite amount of contractions that I have for this, right? Like, and I don't know right now if it's 20 or if it's 246 or if it's 2000. It's probably 2000. But like, in my case, I have relatively long labors. But yeah, so I was like, okay, there's a certain amount of these and we can mow them down. And I think because I had done this work that had literally just happened that morning and like the day before, and you had helped me with a prompt. I'd asked you because I was like, I'm feeling a torment of emotions. Can you give me something to write? Like I was, how one might get at the end of 40 weeks. And I think I wrote it down somewhere. I still have the journal, but it's like, what scares you about the pain? It was something about like I think it was like, what do you fear about the pain or something like that? Yeah. What's hard for you about the pain? And it was like an immediate, which is why prompts are so great, and why when someone and they've worked with you, it's like, you got a fast track. But yeah. It was an immediate tears welling up, like, oh, I fear pain because in my young adult, my childhood, pain meant I was alone. Pain meant I was alone to process it, that there wasn't going to be support. And so I was never just dealing with the pain of like my grandmother dying, or pain of, right, someone teasing me at school. Like I was processing also, and no one's going to help me. Yeah. No one's going to help me. Right. So I think it was a wild feeling, and tears already, like they already want to come, because it switched from being kind of unnamed to having a location. Like I was able to say, oh, I'm not fearing the physical pain. I'm not grieving how hard it was to be alone in my pain. Yeah. And so as soon as I looked around the room and I saw my oldest daughter and my other daughter and my husband and my son, I was like, I'm not alone. And I was crying. My daughter was like, what's wrong, mommy? Like, are you scared? Like, what's your, and she wrote me this like beautiful letter, like, you're not alone. You're like, she wrote me this like beautiful, just heartfelt, like essentially, like, even as a child, she understands, because I think this is how we try to talk to her. Like, you're not going to go through it alone. Yeah. And so she was like, we'll be here and you're not alone anymore. And I'm so sorry that you were. And it was like such a strange and beautiful thing, obviously, to feel like maybe words you wish you heard from your mother, instead you'll hear from your daughter. Wow. And maybe you'll be the mother that you wish you had. There's all this kind of like, I don't know, circularity or change in kind of in who might meet those needs or things like that. Yeah. But that experience, facing that I'm going to go into pain, but this is going to be different, and I don't need to carry that other pain, that other suffering into this. Yeah. I was able to meet the actual pain of the contractions with such like verve. Like I felt like such like not even like maybe primal, because that happens like later down the line. That definitely happens later down the line. Yeah. But it was the greatest sense of like agency I think I've ever had. Yeah. It was the greatest sense of I'm in control, and I'm working with my body, and my body is working with my baby. Like we are all doing this together, and right. She has a mission to escape, and I have a mission that we all get through it well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was, I'll say this, the pain in that sense became my friend. And
Mm-hmm.
I've never felt like that ever.
Yeah.
The pain represented the contractions, which were helping my child to move down and helping my child to come out. And so I wasn't running from the pain. I was like almost running to it.
Yeah.
And obviously I was still like in pain. So
Pain,
now
pain,
it was
I
all
was
kumbaya, but,
right.
but it still hurts. It
Right.
felt it.
But it was pain with purpose.
Right,
And
right, right.
and what you're naming, I think, is really a testament to the power of making something conscious, right? You had
Yeah,
this unconscious belief about
right.
being alone in pain, and you made it conscious, and it shifted everything. And
Yeah,
then the difference between pain and suffering, right?
right,
You
right,
know, pain is just the physical sensation of it. Suffering is
right.
how we, our mental stuff
How we process
around
that.
it. Yeah.
Right. How it feels inside. Yeah. I think that's like, it really did make the birth, um, while painful, not an experience of suffering. And so that's like definitively different than my other birth.
Yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, like a great advertisement for a subsequent birth if we ever choose to have another child. Because I was like, well, that was the worst part of the whole thing was the
Right.
birth. I was like, if we can do that, then
Yeah, because this
yeah.
time you weren't victimized by the pain.
Right,
So
right,
that makes a huge difference.
right.
And, in meeting the pain, it became something that was really powerful because you knew it was
Mhm.
opening you, right?
Right, right. Yeah, it really was. I was connected to the function, and I was also like, um, I think, yeah, I felt freer because I
Yeah.
wasn't having to like defend myself. And I think that, like you mentioned, the trauma, like I've been through things, and I think having only a few years passed really before my first daughter was born. I think it was this feeling of being re-traumatized,
Yeah.
and even though the birth itself wasn't a, like, I mean, horrific by any standard. Like it was a healthy,
Mm.
um, yeah. I don't know how I'm just gonna. Birth is hard. Yeah,
Amazing.
but
Yeah.
I've been really blessed. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So if it sounds like you had a very empowering experience, but if you could wave a magic wand and change anything about your birth, what would that be?
Frankly, I don't think I would change anything. I think it was like, I think it was beautiful, and I think it was what I needed.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think I would have had a list for any of the other births, maybe like, um, I mean, I've met, like I said, I've never felt really so loved, and I
Mm.
think that's to to say that, like, that real love is support, it is relationship, it is, um, it's all these patience and it's kindness, and I think like there was even in the way that during my birth experience that you asked when I wanted you to come over. I was trying to manage the pain kind of as much as I could before I had you come over, and it was in the evening. Um, and I hit like a right amount of pain where I was like, you should come now. And you showed up, and I was asking you like, should I do this or should I do this? And you were so quick to just say like, no, this is yours. This is your birth. What do you want?
Yeah.
And that put me in such a different place. I had an answer. Um, and I was like at the point that you came over, and I'll share this because we can talk birth stuff, right? Like I can say
Yeah.
the words. But I wanted you to break the fluids because uh, for none of my children have my fluids broken before, like absolute traction. Like, they could probably be born in the sack if they so chose,
Yeah.
or if I had the patience or something. But I was asking you, do you think I should do this? Do you think, and you were like, this is yours. And as soon as you said that, I was like, do it. Like I
Right.
knew what I wanted. And
Yeah.
so that was maybe like the kind of the craziest feeling. Um, it was like that I was still hesitant, willing to maybe give over the
Mm,
story of how things went.
right.
And I had talked to you before, like, you know, in our like prenatal group or in the session or in the podcast or all these conversations, like, that I, as a like recovering people pleaser, kind of codependent, like it's in my nature to like not just try to help you even though I'm in pain, like entertain, so it was like
Right.
I had so like prepared you, like I'm gonna try to do what you want, like that might happen. And so I think um for you to just like name it and remind me like who's in charge
Right.
was so helpful. And I think that was super almost like fun to find out I can do what I want.
Yeah.
There's no judgment. And you were like, this is yours. What do you want? I was like, I want this. I want the baby out. Like, let's go. Like, I don't want to like have some story. I don't want the story to be better, like take longer. Like, I don't like, I'm over it. Like, let's get the girl out. So, yeah, so that was like incredibly empowering. I feel like there were all of these moments. And as I came back home and kind of started to process how the whole experience went, because obviously from me and my family, like we road tripped from Miami
Right.
to Summertown, Tennessee. So it was like there were a lot of things that needed to go well for that all to be a really smooth experience.
Right.
The timing of it, the logistics physically, like there were just so many different things. And I think I love the story that I got. And I feel like if there were 42 things that needed to be kind of checked off, they all got checked off.
Mm,
And it felt like I was a part of some kind of miraculous experience because it all was smooth.
yeah.
And I think part of that is also because we've learned to like ride down a bumpy road. Maybe, like if it's a water metaphor, then it's like I've learned to stand up, I've learned to surf. Like I can handle the waves now. So
Mm,
I'm not like, right, like a car has shocks or whatever absorbs. So I think there's a combination of like maybe even if the story had been different, we would have still felt like, oh, look how great that went, because we've learned to adapt,
right.
and be more fluid about how things go. And I think that's the benefit of having so many births and even suffering in my life, or just
Mhm.
having the partner I have and the life we've had. Like I feel like we have learned to weather things, but like practically, I love the story and I loved the experience of it.
Yeah.
Um, and even that one moment, like I'm saying, like even that where I was like, "Do you want the keys?" And you were like, "No, bitch, yours." Like I was like,
Yeah, I
"Ah."
was actually going to bring that moment up because it was not just for you, it was also powerful for me because I'm kind of like really hesitant to break waters. So I had to like pause and be like, well, this is not what I want. This is what she wants. And
Interesting. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
just
Well, good,
supporting.
good I know that now, because at the time I would have suffered for another hour. Yeah. It's like
Yeah, that's why I
would have
just
been like,
shut
you
my
think no, okay,
mouth.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was it made it mine. And so for better or worse, like you said, like it made it mine.
Yeah.
And even like so even after that moment where like I dilated much quicker, and it was
Yeah.
really like the show was about to be over, and you were like, we got to get this pool set up, because we ended up doing the birth pool. And then the water was too hot, and I was like, no, the water's great, like go full. I hadn't even realized, not even until like the moment that I put my foot into the birth pool, um that I could have like steaming hot water, like obviously like safe, but really warm. And like that had been my favorite part of laboring at home with my other children, was like the hot water compressed on my back from the shower. And so I think even in how I visualized it, I don't think I realized that temperature was something I could use
Yeah.
in the birth pool. I thought it was like that I had to be in like lukewarm water. I
Oh
don't know why
gosh.
I thought like it's like the way that we cook up like these small tortures for ourselves. I don't know. Yeah, it's like a kiddie pool outside, like just flopping around. No,
Right.
the water was an aid. Um, but yeah, I don't know what the question was, but yeah, all of the things almost felt like those little turns, those moments, even just how it played out. It felt like the right idiosyncrasies for my life.
Yeah.
and from my story. And so it felt very special.
What was your most powerful moment?
I think there was I have a few. I mean, I was bouncing on the ball and I think I'll say this. I felt a lot of pride. Um, and not like in an arrogant way. I felt a lot of pride at how far I've come and how I was managing the pain throughout the birth. I felt proud that we'd even tried to, like, the whole thing. I felt very proud that we'd been like kind of so courageous to like take this road trip and be in this foreign space and make it ours and like all of it. I think there were moments of like the actual pain where I felt like I'm doing this in a new way and I'm not getting beat up by it. So I felt I kind of loved it. I kind of loved the pain.
Yeah.
Because I was handling it differently. And then, so I have like kind of in my mind, we were watching a movie with my family and I was bouncing and I was breathing so hard. And I was like, look at me do this, so there was like that moment before it got real crazy. And then there was a moment right before I had gotten in the tub, and it was clear that she was like gonna come out. And I was breathing in such a primal, screaming kind of breathing in such a strong way. And I kept telling myself, because I found that my mind really wanted to wander in a way that it had before with the pain of like, is this going to last forever?
Mm.
And it's like that my mind was trying to reconcile the degree of pain,
Yeah.
and it really couldn't. And I found my mind wanting to go to like, is this going to last 3 more hours? Right.
Mm.
And so which is almost like such a big part of the mental strain of giving birth,
Yeah.
is the unknown of how long is this going to take? Is it going to hurt worse? There's all of these kind of questions. And I know that like, even when I was in high school and was running cross country or track, like my coach would tell us like, you've got 8 reps to do. We're going to run these laps. We're going to do this, and then we'd get to the end and he'd be like, you got 2 more. And we'd be like, no. And then we'd do 2 more. And then he'd be like, okay, you got 1 more. We're like, no, you're lying to us, but it was this, that there's a little bit more than you anticipated, a little bit more, but you can do it. And like, I think, on the other side of that, if you don't have someone helping you understand where you're standing, like if you don't have someone literally like being like, okay, I can see the baby coming, like you have 2 more pushes, then you're kind of like, I'll say that I have gotten lost in the swirl of, is this going to take forever? Like, are we just going to indefinitely? Because the pain gets so bad, like literally feels like, is this an island I am now marauded? You know what I mean? Like, am I left on this island of pain? Like, is this never going to change?
Right.
Is it? And so I think there was a moment where I found, sorry, there's a train nearby. There was a moment where I found that my brain wanted to say, this is going to take 2 more hours. This is going to, like, this, you're going to be stuck here. You don't know, whatever. And I like screamed like audibly, but I was telling myself like, be here now.
Yeah.
And I was like, be here now. Like I couldn't even, like I literally was like commanding my brain. And so I think that was for me actually like a huge thing, because it was like, and I've learned some of this language even after this birth, but like I was using like my capital S self.
Yeah.
I wasn't being deferent. I wasn't being the manager self. I wasn't being, I was using like my hat was on. Boss bitch was here, and speaking to all the other parts of me, because we're like composite of all of these different voices and parts.
Right.
I was speaking to all of them like, we're doing this. We are here together. We're here now, and we're going to get through this. And I have this necklace, and it has a word on it, mother, that I actually bought to symbolize learning how to mother myself.
Wow.
And um, I had a longer chain at the time because I was pregnant, and I kind of like it sat nicely between. Anyways, it's the proportions. Like I need a longer chain while I was pregnant. I'm not going to go into it, but it was swinging like in front of me as I was laboring because I was down on my my hands and knees in the tub, and it swung forward, and I saw mother, and I
Mm,
thought like we're becoming a mother, like get in the game, and it was like one more push, and she was out, and it
yeah.
was like the most unbelievable feeling. Um, it was just the most unbelievable feeling, I think, to like kind of call myself back to where I was, to see what we were doing, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then to in that very moment, like birth. And I will say one of the more shocking things was I didn't have to push as many times with this baby. And I think the feeling of delivering my 10-pound son, like squatting, uh, was very profound. It was like a very big whoosh. Um, and so for this, she was still 8.5 pounds, but like it wasn't as uh not like cathartic, but it wasn't as pronounced a birth. So it was kind of like shocking. Like I was like that, and we did it. It's done. It's done.
And
She's
she's
out.
out.
She's out. She's here. She's here. Like
Right.
um, so it was yeah. I mean, it was an incredible. I think that last maybe minute, 2 minutes, however long that took. Um, I was so cool to be
Mm,
able to like be my own coach.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I think it really like led to that feeling of like overall just feeling like I was empowered to do my thing.
Yeah.
And I found that I can do new things in that.
Yeah. Yes. It's so inspiring. You could be the poster girl for empowered birth. Really beautiful. And then
I
you came out and all your children and your husband were there around the tub, and there was such a
her little face, I like, we have some pictures, and it's like her little face was like looking up at my oldest daughter, and like, looking at who are these faces, the voices I know, and like their curly hair, and like it was like a whole moment. And I was still like really in shock that I was done, that
yeah.
I was done with the pain. Like I was like, what? No, you can hold her. Like I was like, okay, like okay, we can do it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, it was really special.
Anything else that you want to share before we close?
As much as I can, as much as it's reasonable to say, I had a great time. I never ever thought I would say something like that. I don't think I knew that pregnancy was transformative for me. And I knew that with each birth, I felt that I could do something more than I knew. Um, and so there was always this feeling of empowerment. Um, as I'm like grimacing. Maybe more so with like the first one, I was like, I can survive hard things. I don't think it was like do hard things.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that was probably like as a starting point to where I've ended up. Um, the feeling of meeting that challenge is something I will carry that for the rest of my life. That has informed so much of how I'm trying to structure my life as I come back. And it's given me such a level of conviction and um, belief in myself.
Hmm.
And so I feel like I couldn't get that off me if I tried. Like the stain of this birth is so beautiful. I I can't possibly live the way that I was living before
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's really altered my chemistry. So I feel like I'm really excited to see, um, like, I mean, I can say that I'm excited to see who I become, because of that experience, because of the experience with you. Um, it's, it's, it's really changed how I see myself and what I see possible for
Yeah.
my life,
Yeah.
and for my family and for my children. So, I mean, and for my marriage and for my work, I mean, it's really impacted me on a like a genetic level. So I can't
Wow.
thank you enough. Yeah.
My pleasure. So I just want to say something about your background for those that are just listening to the podcast. So she's got this leopard skin cloth behind her, and she's wearing
I thought you were talking about my like life
a
story background.
I know, I
No,
saw that in your
leopard.
face.
Yeah. No.
And
Yeah.
a leopard shirt to go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Do you
have some
want to?
a vintage 60s like leopard textile
Yeah,
that I'm using as a backdrop for some live sales that I'm going to be doing as a vintage seller and stylist. And then I have a 70s, like it's got a full leopard on it. So yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm a whole look today.
Do you want to give a little plug for your big business where people can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on like all the social medias at Ellie Lady Smith. And I'm embarking on some new things, very exciting, doing lives on TikTok as a style coach, based on my work as a personal stylist for many years. And my emphasis has always been like sustainability, even before that was like a cute word. So the goal is really to live in a way that is like financially and relationally, communally sustainable. So that involves a lot of vintage and buying resale and learning to resell. And most importantly, kind of learning how to dress yourself and shop for yourself and your family, if you have one, in a way that really resonates, is authentic, is beautiful and inspiring to both yourself and, of course, to others. So I'll be doing that on TikTok Live, and then I'll be doing live clothing sales on Whatnot and TikTok, and you'll find me on Instagram doing the same. So I'm all over the internet now.
Great.
It's a lot of leopard right now.
Yeah, I love it.
What can I say? Strong woman, right? It's like
Yeah,
it's very symbolic for me. So
totally. Well, thank you so much. It's always so much fun to talk with you. And thank you.
thank you for having me. I appreciate being